Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals between the Wolves and the Mavericks tips off tonight at 7:30, and you can hear it right here on FM 100.3 KFAN and anywhere you go on the free iHeartRadio app presented by Scar Audio. Elevate your ride today.
That's Max Fuller producing 9 to noon. Tomorrow, I'm Nordo, by the way. Thanks for listening. It is 11:08 a.m. on a Tuesday. A little sun peeking through after a showery commute. I ran it by Abbott. I don't think it's going to work. We go live on holiday Mondays and then take the Tuesdays off. Moving forward.
I think that's a great idea.
Nobody on the roads yesterday morning when I was coming in. People in observing, of course, an important holiday, Memorial Day, but also...
No, they were hung over and they needed the time to sleep in.
What an accusation, Lavelle E Neal III.
How dare you?
Trust me, I saw some of it. I witnessed some of it Sunday night.
Did you participate in any of it?
Yeah, but I was my normal, moderate self.
But you woke up fresh as a daisy on Monday morning, of course.
I felt great.
Well, that's fantastic. I didn't feel great because the basketball team had my hopes high. We decided, you know what? Whole fan staff, good soldiers that we are, we're going to roll in here. And I mean, come on, we're doing radio here. It's not that difficult. Typically a day off, and we roll in, and now the team's down 0-3, Lavelle.
I know. Some of my friends were still recovering from Saturday, let alone Sunday.
Well, as you get older, it takes longer to get back in the game.
That's why you don't go holy hell every time you go to the bar.
You know what? It's taken me a while to learn that, but I'm finally there. Oh,
but, the way the Wolves have played, they probably have made their fans want to drink even more. So
yeah, correct. No kidding about that. Down 0-3 in the series. I know that you've been following not only the PWHL team, Minnesota at Boston tomorrow. It's Game 5, a chance to hoist the Walter Cup. So that's going to be sweet. And you were covering that. You wrote a column on it, StarTribune.com. But I'm sure you've had at least one eye, maybe 1.5 eyes, pasted to this Western Conference Finals series with the Mavericks. And the Wolves, man, razor-thin margins, and they're coming up bad each and every time.
I know. And I didn't see much of the game because I was at the X watching the women go through 98 minutes of hell against Boston.
Were you there for all of 5 hours?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness, what a game.
Yeah, it was intense. There was some great goal saving, great stops by the goalies. Minnesota, they had the puck in Boston's end for, I would say, 65% of the game. It just seemed like they were dominating possession. Getting scoring chances, but they lacked that one pass or that one, perfect shot to kind of break through. It was frustrating for the fans, but they were into it. But the league in its inaugural season gets a winner-take-all Game 5. I tried to call the Walter Cup the Wally in my column, but it was edited.
It was?
Yeah.
A tough moment.
I thought, winner takes Wally. I think that's a great line.
No, I do like that, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I don't edit a major newspaper publication. So
as far as the Wolves, I definitely saw the first 2 games and just missed Game 3. It's the one thing that just amazes me because we always want to get into tactics and what type of offensive sets they're getting in, who's doubling who, how they're playing. The fact of the matter is they've led in the fourth quarter all 3 of these games. They've had a lead in every fourth quarter and have lost. And that comes to effort and execution. I mean, yes, should have Finchie taken a timeout here and there? Maybe. Should they have had Cat on the floor in a couple of situations instead of Rudy? Maybe. But, man, they are not – I don't want to say they're not losing their composure, but it sure the hell looks like it when they're not making key plays down the stretch to close out games.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the defining factor in this series, if it ends tonight or if it ends next week.
It's really been a defining factor of the entire postseason. In the Sun series, the game was over in the third quarter in at least 2 of those 4 games. There was the one close one, I believe. Maybe that was Game 2. I forget. Doesn't matter. They swept them. But the ends of quarters, the ends of halves, and now in 3 games, having the lead in the late stages of each and just not being able to find a shot. The 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter, the first 2 games, and then the other night, moments like Ant in that scrum, not dribbling or passing out of it and allowing for the tie-up to take place. He loses the ensuing tip. The defining aspect of this postseason, I think, in totality, will be a lack of composure and a lack of finish in all of that.
Which is weird because they swept Phoenix, and then they're up 2-0 against Denver, and then Denver was the second quarter of Game 3. Remember when Murray hit the half-court shot? It seemed like the momentum in that whole series shifted right then and there.
I think that was an 8-point run, like 20 seconds or something like that.
So then that series ends up, being in the percolator, and then the Wolves overcame that. So I think we're still waiting for this change in attitude. All of a sudden, on the rise up and call in Captain Marvel and get this thing done. But it hasn't come yet.
It's weird though, because that Game 6, I was talking with Max about this earlier. That would have been the spot for this team to roll over.
Yep.
They hustle them by 45. Game 7, you're down 20 at one point in that game. That's the moment for them to roll over. That's where, when I'm looking at Game 4 tonight, just those tweaks, those little things that you're talking about, like I have a hard time believing that they're not going to come out with at least a couple final haymakers, a couple final attempts to get over the hump and figure this thing out.
Yeah, get after it. Cat, man, it was on this station yesterday. Someone came up with a horrible stat about Cat, and he's played in 30 playoff games, and like 18 of them, he's only hit like 1-3 or something like that. It was some horrible stat. I looked at that and said, are you kidding me?
Well, I can look at that while you're talking now.
There's some negative Cat action there about him taking threes, but they're not going to win unless he hits a few. So you can't tell him to stop shooting. You could tell him that if there's a drive to the lane to dunk on someone, take that. But if you want to prove that you're the best shooting big man ever, you better prove it when the lights are the brightest, my man. And has he shot 1,500 shots a day? I may be thinking that in a day he may have taken as many as 1,500 shots, but there's no way he's taking 1,500 shots every day during the season. So I was trying to figure out the math. If you take a shot every 3 seconds, and that means someone has to be rebounding for you and handing you a ball, you could get 20 shots in a minute, 100 shots in 5 minutes, 1,200 shots in an hour. So it's possible, but that's a long time to have people standing there doing nothing but passing you the ball and rebounding for you. So
well, here's what I found. In his 30 starts, 18 of his 30 starts, he has hit one or none.
That's what I heard yesterday.
He has
I
10
couldn't
games,
believe that.
10 games with one and 8 games with nada.
That is a damning statistic.
Which stinks, because that's why we got Rudy. That's why we wanted to free him up to be that shooter. You might be onto something. What a stat. That's awful.
That's not a small sample size. That's 30 games.
Yikes.
That's a trait. That's a characteristic.
Yikes.
It's quickly becoming a curse. What have you thought with Anthony Edwards overall? Just kind of 10,000-foot view. We're going through stretches where he's being compared to Michael Jordan, and we got people talking about how he's embarrassing himself in the first couple of games, how the 22-year-old is handling it from the good times through the bad. What do you think?
I think he'll be much better off next year and the year after that for what he's going through right now. There's stretches here where he's had to figure out the double teams. Here comes a double. Do I pass right away? Do I dribble out of it before he comes? Learning things like that. It didn't help that Conley got injured and he had to run the offense. I think that puts a lot on him when he has to initiate the offense instead of having a guy like Conley on the court. So actually, one thing I want to see the Wolves do, they got to start cultivating a new point guard for the future.
Yeah.
Because Mike is not, I like watching Mike play. He's a smart, heady guy. He always knows when to shoot. He always takes, well thought out shots in advance. But they need to have another young point guard to get into this mix here. And I know there's a guy sitting behind me who wants to nominate someone. But
listen, he has been ice cold ever since I said that. I might have jinxed him. I might have cursed him. I might have to walk that one back.
Wait a minute. This isn't the Nickeil Alexander-Walker thing, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I went on major market airwaves and said he's the starting point guard of the future. He could be a max contract player for a guy, and then he has been MIA. Forget NAW. He's been MIA for the last, 4 or 5 games now.
Well, you know what, though? No one's talking about Nickeil Alexander-Walker because Kitty Cat has been MIA through 3 games. So that's been providing cover for Mr. Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Yeah, I would investigate maybe other options. I would just see what, let's start with whatever else is out there.
Right.
And we know that we got Nikhil in our back pocket, and we got him at, what a fantastic price for next year.
Steal.
And still the defense has been solid. We need those shots to start falling. But we'll just see. Maybe we'll wait and see what else is out there. It doesn't have to be Nikhil.
Keep our options open.
No reason to pigeonhole ourselves. I saw Cleveland, what was it, Donovan Mitchell, he didn't go scorched earth, but it's always after the season ends, people start, well, this guy was awful, team wasn't listening, that was kind of the vibe, there was no chemistry. Maybe Darius Garland. Well, Darius Garland only plays like 40 games a season because he's always hurt, so I don't know if that's the answer. I think Conley's been mostly good, but even that's kind of getting back to the clutch moments thing. He had that bad turnover, just an awful lob to Rudy, had another turnover. He's nobody's been perfect in this series, maybe except for Naz Reid.
Yeah, Naz has disappeared a little bit too. Don't forget, he got benched in the fourth quarter of Game 2. Was it? When it was
no, not Game 2.
No,
he got
not Naz.
He was going.
Cat.
Nas was the only one that had it in Game 2.
No, there was a Nas bit too in the playoffs. I can't remember what it was.
Is 7 and 9 threes?
That's not it. No, there was a matchup issue, and there was a stretch there where Nas wasn't on the. Yeah, because Nas only played. Or was it Cat? It may have been Cat. He played just 4 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you're thinking of Cat, brother.
How did I get those guys mixed up? They don't even look alike.
He spent the final 5 minutes, I think, of Game 2 on the bench there. Which actually, and going back to, and I love Chris Finch. I think Chris Finch has done a tremendous job. It's a unique situation with him in the second row and Micah Nori kind of directing traffic, being the maestro, Micah the maestro. But Game 3, they had a situation where they took Rudy out, put Nas in, Wolves start coming, take the lead, and then they immediately put Rudy back. Like, there's been some lineup related. There's been some head scratchers, you might say, in this postseason from Finchy.
Well, that's been a weird thing, too, with Rudy, because there's some other stats out there that say when Rudy's on the court, the Wolves are like plus whatever.
Yeah.
And then when he wasn't, it was like minus.
He was plus 111 into the series for the postseason.
Yeah. So that shows you how quickly things can change. So, but knowing Ant, or the parts of Ant that I know, I think they'll be in a great frame of mind tonight because he's always keeping people positive. He's always staying positive and getting guys, thinking that they can do this. And they got nothing to lose. If you get swept, you get swept. But at least go out throwing some punches, as you pointed out. So
yeah, don't go out like chumps tonight.
Yeah,
I mean that's were they reading their own headlines? Even Finch, they're feeling themselves a little bit. That was kind of how he framed it up. I think during the Denver series, maybe that took place. But in the same sense, you also cannot just roll over and play dead in a game in which you could potentially extend it and bring it back to Target Center.
Once again, I'm going to go back to the fact that they've led in the fourth quarter each of these games. I know in the fourth quarter in Game 3, it was like by 2 points, but they've led by more in the other games. But to me, it's like close out. It's about closing out. It's not like you're getting blown out of the water here. It's not like you're getting dominated. Yeah, the interior play of Gafford and Lively has been an issue. Oh, is Lively going to play?
Nope,
no, he's out.
Ooh, that changes their rotation on the defense. That changes they were a substitution pattern.
Well, it's an advantage for the Wolves, too.
Yeah.
If they can get Gafford into foul trouble.
Yeah, that could be.
But this lob thing. See, it's kind of, I feel like it's an either or. I'll take the lobs if Luka and Kyrie aren't making every 15-foot turnaround and fall-away jumper as part of that. And Kyrie has found the 3 game to be kind of nice the last game or two as well.
Can we lob the cat too? Not just Rudy.
I think technically we're allowed to.
Yes. Yeah, like that halftime entertainment. Oh, it's not during halftime. It's during one of the timeouts to have the guys with the trampolines and they do all the crazy jumps and dunk the ball.
Yeah.
Just send both Rudy and
Slam Squad
toward the rim at the same time and see how Dallas tries to figure out which one's getting the lob.
Maybe we can be the Slam Squad. Although our lobs we haven't put ourselves in a spot to take advantage of that.
I'm liking the Wolves' chances more to talk about this. Yeah, with Lively being out, Scott Foster, the head official.
The extender.
Yes. The fact that Boston series with Indiana is over and the NBA needs some face time in the next few days before the finals start.
Yeah, let me see. How many
conspiracy
days
Conspiracy can work in favor of the Wolves.
I mean, that's a full 8 days off if they don't extend this series. Scott Foster, you know what to do.
That's a beat writer's nightmare, too. 8 days, you got to come up with copy for 8 days.
Think about that.
Oh man,
how many different like coming of age pieces and thoughts and feelings related articles are you going to see coming out of Boston as they wait for 8 days to start this thing?
How many Mike Honori is a funny guy stories can you write in a week?
Well, I think those that cover the Wolves would be happy to try if they can extend this thing.
I call my editor, hey, I got a column idea. I'm gonna follow Finch to his knee checkup appointment and write about that.
If they do
start writing about Al Horford's kid and the beer.
Oh man,
yeah. Did you see that Al Horford's kid was? I assume he was just holding on to it. It's not that big of a deal.
He was holding a beer. How old was his kid?
I have no idea.
But it looked like he was underage.
It was just a funny photo. Yeah, kid. Yeah. I mean, you could put like a mustache on him if you want to, like costume style, but no, I don't think he would stand up to scrutiny.
I think some of us have held a beer while being underage.
Yeah.
Just not out in an NBA stadium.
Yeah, correct. But I was talking with Max during the first hour on this as well. If they do get swept tonight, which side of the coin are you on? Or are you going to sit right at center court, center fence? Great season, stinks that it came to an end. Or this is ridiculous, there's no reason, there should have been a sweep, and it is A, B, C, D, E, F, G in terms of reasons why this is unacceptable. You got to start looking at tweaking things, etc.
This has been an awesome season. This has been great. For the most part, they've met expectations, maybe exceeded expectations. Because people went into the season going, oh man, is a two big man game going to really work, blah, blah. And not only did they play, they were like among the best records in the league during the regular season. It ended up being must-see TV down the stretch with them, Oklahoma City and Denver fighting for the number one seed in the West. This was awesome stuff. And then you get in the postseason, and you sweep Phoenix and send Kevin Durant home crying, and Devin Booker, forcing him to hip check Conley and Finch as a going away present.
Totally intentional, by the way.
And then you slay the dragon. You knock out the defending NBA champions. No, this has been a great year for the Wolves.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been outstanding. Let's see what needs to be tweaked. Let's see how they synthesize what happened during these last few weeks and how what resolve they come up with to go deeper next year. They made the Final Four. This is awesome. And this is not like the 04 team. Well, hopefully, because after 04,
everything went away.
Well, Cassell wanted more money. Sprewell said he had a family to feed.
Fair.
Someone got injured during preseason. Garnett played a chunk of the season with a bad knee, and it just went haywire. It went pear-shaped.
Yeah.
And they never recovered. These guys are locked up for a couple years.
And a chance to build on this.
Cat's 22. McDaniels is 23, right?
McDaniels is young.
Yeah.
And there's so much parity in the Western Conference compared to in past years. There's no dominant force like the Warriors a couple of years ago. Even the Denver Nuggets were obviously fallible.
That's Max Fuller, Lavelle E Neal in studio. And when we return, a little bit more on the Wolves. But there's a lot of celebrating going on around Major League Baseball with a retirement that just took place. We'll jump into that and so much more. Again, the columnist Lavelle E Neal III in studio, 9 to noon on The Fan.
Raising Cane's is helping Zacho grab life by the chicken fingers on his cross-country trek to pay off the Charge Challenge. Stop by one of the 16 Twin Cities locations today. Raising Cane's, one love.
Welcome back. Nordo in for PA, 9 to noon. PA back in the mix tomorrow. Hopefully, as we kick off the show with a Bee Gees Staying Alive montage, always much more fun than the Brian McKnight One Last Cry montage. But one way or the other, we're going to get to some finality. Either we're continuing on or it is over. Love the run. Max and Parker Fox, by the way, tonight. Watch party, 6:30 to 10.
Yes, sir.
At Mall of America. They're going to be in the Rotunda. They're giving away a ton of stuff, but you're going to get to hang out with Max and Parker Fox and root this thing on at MOA. So looking forward to that. A lot of people have been looking forward to this for a number of years. Lavelle E Neal III in studio, Star Tribune's columnist. Angel Hernandez. Is it Angel or Angel?
It is Angel.
It is Angel. So Angel Hernandez, courtesy by way of Havana, Cuba. He made his debut as an umpire in Major League Baseball in May of 1991. He retired. And, well, that's what I was trying to get to. But we got a new board in the mix. The button bar is all screwy. Just pretend that there was a trumpet, and everyone was super, super excited. There we go. Is there a more hated umpire in the history of Major League Baseball than Angel Hernandez, Lavelle?
There's some contenders there. Joe Brinkman was hated early in my sports writing career because for some reason, he decided he needed to line up 5 feet behind the catcher. He thought he could see the strikes and balls better, which was a joke. Local fans here still have some disdain for Phil Cuzzy, who said that Joe Mauer's double down the left field line was a foul ball. Some people think CB Buckner's got an issue, but I don't think he's that bad as the top 2 guys on my list. Well, 3 would be Eric Gregg. Eric would want to get in the spotlight and get fired up by the home crowd, So there was a game pitched by Lavelle Hernandez in the postseason. Eric Gregg just started calling balls 5 inches off the plate. And Lavelle knew this and just worked it and ended up having this great postseason start. It was because of Eric Gregg. He was a fascinating man. He loved the nightlife. He loved flashy outfits. There was a day in St. Louis after a game I was working and went to the infamous Missouri Bar and Grill because that's where umpires and some writers would hang out after games. And I came in. The owner sees me. He knew who I was because I was working for the Kansas City Star at the time. He had the cook make me a steak. And now it's like 12:45 a.m. I'm getting ready to leave. Greg walks in. He's got females with him. He's got on a purple suit. He says, "I'm buying everybody here around," and the whole place explodes. But my God, some of his strike zones were just crazy. Joe West, Cowboy Joe West, until he had some throat problems, he actually cut a country music album during his career. He was known for a guy who liked the spotlight, trying to make big calls and maybe controversial calls, and fed off of that. But anyone who covered ball and traveled, you would usually run into Joe West and his group at bars and restaurants after games, and he'll hear good stories and hear some funny stories, and you leave there going, "Man, Joe's kind of a cool guy."
Yeah.
And then you go to the ballpark, you see him make some calls, you go,
and everybody hates him.
Angel Hernandez is above all these guys in terms of the anger that he's created during his career, and it's self-inflicted. Bad strike zones, then becoming combative, then abusive, then just in denial that he did anything wrong. I had to look this up this morning when I found out he passed away. I'll never forget this game.
He retired. He's still alive.
Oh, I'm sorry. His career is over. His career is dead. I'm not trying to take Angel Hernandez.
Rest in peace, Bill Walton, though.
Oh, right? Man, that's another story. But August 23rd, 2006, I'm in Baltimore. The Twins are in Baltimore. We're playing the Orioles. Angel gets off to a fast start with terrible calls. And the Twins dugout is chirping. They're chirping. Yeah. And it wasn't because I can tell when a dugout's really pissed because you can hear it up to the press box. So it's just like regular chirping. Angel didn't want to hear it. So he turns to the Twins dugout and goes, "If I hear anything else in that dugout, someone's getting ejected." And so the Twins were like, we really weren't complaining that much. So Ron Gardenhire goes, "Come on, Angel, we're not riding you that hard." Angel spins around, ejects Gardy. Gardy comes charging like Gardy would do. He comes charging out of the dugout. He's screaming at Angel, "Angel, what the hell's your problem?"
Did he kick any dirt? Did he go chest to chest?
We were complaining. We weren't dropping F-bombs on you. What the hell, Angel? So Gardy's ejected. No, Jason Kubel's at the plate. 2-strike count. The next pitch is, I almost swore. The next pitch was a foot off the plate and down. Angel rings him up, strike 3, and then he turns to Kubel and stares at him saying, "Just say something. Just say something, you're out." And Kubel was like, "I put my bat down. I put my helmet down. I'm just going to walk out to the outfield. I'm not trying to do anything to you, Angel. Come on." And I'm sitting there going, "God, what a pompous ass." I'm sitting there watching all this.
Well, it's amazing, and I didn't look up every umpire that's ever been in Major League Baseball. But it's like you look at his background and you learn about his career and all of that, and it explains, from here did you go, here's where you went, and then there's a lengthy portion in terms of where he stood in terms of like the analytics. Like nowadays, like people are using the electronics and they're logging all of this and where he stands. But then there's a freaking War and Peace documentary on all of the incidents.
Yes,
like you've covered the Twins for a really long time. But everybody hates this guy. Speaking of former Twins, like Ron Coomer had an incident with him. Red Sox, Yankees, like Pedro Martinez got loose on a broadcast about how he's the worst umpire that he's ever seen in his life. He got players freaking out, wanting to fight the guy. He's just trying to do his job. I think he's just out there. I mean, it's amazing how you should never in any sport. Ed Hockley looks like he's been to the gym. He looks like he should be out there doing special teams in the NFL. Kenny Mauer and that elite hair. And then there's Angel Hernandez.
Yep.
Just being the complete ire and the infamy that he has built around himself over the course of his career.
I think he even got Joe Mauer riled up once. I think Joe actually did are you sure about that call? After the strike three call, which for Mauer, that's like dropping 500 F-bombs, on top of the guy. That's Angel. That's his career, man.
That's crazy.
And
do you think Major League Baseball cares? Because my thought on it, whether we were talking about the difference in referees game to game in the NBA playoffs, the review and the controversy around made calls, missed calls, video reviews in the NFL, and the leagues can just produce these pool reports and bits after games, but they move on. And unless something is just out of this world egregious, they'll admit bad calls were missed, etc., but they just move on. Fans complain about it all the time. They move on. TV ratings don't change. Does Major League Baseball, they know what people think of Angel Hernandez, but he was allowed to operate for 30-plus years.
Well, more now than ever, the league cares, okay? Even 10, 12 years ago, they cared. I'm sure they contacted the Umpires Association going, what's up with this?
Yeah.
And the umpire's like, we have our own scoring system. Yeah, he's probably a little shaky here, but he's not horrible. And don't forget, he got mad at the Umpires Association and sued either baseball.
I think he sued Major League Baseball
because he wasn't getting plum assignments or whatever.
Well, and he had that personal issue with Joe Torre because he said that Joe Torre had some sort of vendetta against him.
Yep.
And when I brought that up earlier, people were texting in. They're saying Major League Baseball basically sat in court and just used video evidence of how bad Angel Hernandez. Yeah. They just here's a B-roll loop, and you can watch it. Dim the lights, please. Here's just 20 minutes of Angel Hernandez missing obvious calls.
Yeah, and it's not
to win the lawsuit.
It's not it's not strikes that were balls. It's balls that were strikes too.
Yeah.
There's one highlight. The ball damn near cut the plate in half, and Angel called it a ball. And the announcer was like, "Angel Hernandez, what are you doing?"
I saw this. 2018, Hernandez was the first base umpire for Game 3, 2018 ALDS, Yankees and Red Sox. 4 out of the 5 plays that he called at first base
had to be replayed.
Were overturned.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
That's insanity.
I think they kept him out of the World Series since 2008 or something like that.
2005.
Okay, yeah. Yep. So, but Nordo, more than now than ever, because Major League Baseball is closing up the gambling establishments more than ever to get revenue. You got some ballparks in the league that either have casinos nearby, or I think a couple of them have them in the damn stadium now, or have gambling windows.
Right.
And of course, everybody's sitting in the stands, with apps that they can use to gamble on. Okay, you're getting to a point now where an umpire screws up a ball strike call. There's millions riding on that pitch now. The league does not want to get in any trouble with gamblers and stuff who are going to screen conspiracy theories or whatever because strikes are being called balls and balls are being called strikes. Okay, that's why you're seeing this movement toward the automatic strike zone, which will not be here next year, but I gotta imagine in the next 3 to 5 years it'll be a.
So you think that'll be a real thing?
Oh, I think so too. They've been testing it out in AAA. Fans have seen it at the Saints games, It's pretty cool. It's just like when they challenge a ball in tennis that is it fair or is it out, in or out, and they show the animation on the screen. Well, that's what they will do for a challenge system with the ball strike with the automatic umpire. So, or with umpires. And so you challenge, and then they'll put the little animation on the video board, and you'll see the ball traveling through a 3D strike zone or whatever, and they'll say strike or ball, and that would be the decision. In the minors, the first 3 games of a 6-game series has been the automatic strike zone, and the umpire just saying what the pitch was according to the automatic strike zone. The last 3 games of the series, the challenge system has been employed. The catcher, pitcher, or batter can tap their head saying that we want to challenge that call, and then they'll replay the call. And it's actually, fans have gotten fired up because, the ball, they show the animation on the screen, everybody going, whoa, and then it crosses the plate, strike, yay! Dugouts are getting fired up, But Buck was telling me when he was at St. Paul last year that strike zone was calling strikes that on pitches he thought were balls. So he's worried about the parameters of the strike zone.
Okay.
Ryan Jeffers doesn't want it. He's like, I spent years of my career perfecting pitch framing, and now you're going to take that away from me.
Right.
So there's some resistance to it, but I think it's coming. Angel Hernandez making ball strike calls when all kinds of money is riding on it in Vegas. Whew, that's something the league wants to try to avoid.
No, I understand it. I still do. I mean, the reason we're talking about Angel Hernandez is where human error can go real bad.
Yes.
But I think there's a charm in the human error element to the game.
We have to admit it's fun sometimes.
But to what
be
extent?
Mad at the umpire.
Yeah, correct. So and then the art of learning how an umpire over the course of a game calls the game, right? Yeah. Like if it's you've watched this for a quarter century when you're getting the low and away strike, you're getting the high strike call, those sorts of things. I think that's part of the game.
And hitters will adjust to that.
Just happy that, and by the way, Angel Hernandez alive, not dead, just retired. But Angel Hernandez, see that's where it feels like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I like the human error element of it, but Angel Hernandez was just really, really bad at that. That's Lavelle E Neal III in studio. Final segment around the corner as we look ahead to Game 4. Wolves at the Dallas Mavericks, 7:30 p.m. tip right here on your home for the Howl, the Fan. Pre-game party at 6:30. Max and Parker Fox at MOA. We're not going out tonight, and we'll talk about that to wrap up the show next. Final segment, 9 to noon, and the Wraps 9 to noon are brought to you by Casey's. Food and fuel and rewards with Casey's Rewards. You got the Elite Pizza, 99-cent medium and fountain frozen drinks all summer long at Casey's. Stop into a Casey's today. Final segment, 9 to noon, with Lavelle still in studio.
Is Max going to rap at the end of this?
No, he's not going to rap.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
He can do it if he wants.
I got a mean freestyle game. I just I don't trust myself over FCC airwaves with it.
And that is why I write them down.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's hard to explain it. Like, I can write about, I'd say 2/3 of it, it just pops in my head and I could probably freestyle that, but then you get caught in like a half beat or you transition. The chances of an F-bomb or something inappropriate, it increases exponentially. So I'm not, that's why I write them down. In 2015, I did a rap for at the Stadium Preview Center when the Vikings drafted Trey Waynes.
Trey Waynes.
And it was pre-US Bank Stadium across the street. They have the Stadium Preview Center, and we're introducing the pick, and PA's like, hey, it'd be pretty cool if you did a rap for, man, that's how long I've been doing them now? Oh. God. And I did the rap in front of, there was 50, 75 people there just checking out the new bits and checking their seats and future season ticket holders. And I did the bit. I thought it wasn't bad. I did it to oh my God, it was a Nas song. Surviving the Times.
Oh yeah.
Elite instrumental.
Yeah.
And Trey just looks at me when I'm done. He's like, "You wrote that down?" And just shook his head. That was it. I'm like, come on, man.
It's like, dang, bro.
Yeah, like a fat radio guy shows. Totally get it. Totally understand. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not. This isn't representing the 303 or 313, whatever. I'm not B Rabbit here. Okay,
Right.
sorry. But I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought I got a couple of good quips in there. The Spartan with the 4.3 speed, and you had to write that down. Huh? He shook his head at me.
Just went Simon Cowell on the
It's
bit.
unbelievable.
But you knew better, though,
my
Mauro.
heart.
That's all right. You know better.
Yeah, absolutely. You think the Wolves win tonight?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I think they're going to close this one out. I think they've learned lessons. Plus, they're going to this game loose. Going to try to have fun, put their best game out on the floor. No pressure. Just say, hey, we lose a series, lose a series. Who cares? Who cares if we got swept? Plus, they know how self-inflicted this has been too. And they probably know if they just tighten up a few things and play with some GD poise down the stretch, that they can just bring this back home for one more game.
I love it. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Final moments, Max. Will we be hootie-hooing on Thursday?
I think we'll be hootie-hooing on Thursday. I've had a feeling, ahead of all of these games thus far, so my feelings are not indicative of success. But I'm still going to have hope. I'm going to ride or die with this team, and right now I'm kind of flatlining, but I'm still riding, baby. Let's go.
There we go. And you can see Max and Parker Fox. It's a Wolves watch party at MOA in the Rotunda this evening, 6:30 to 10.
The Rotunda?
6:30 pregame party.
We're doing it big, Lavelle.
Pregame at 7. We're doing it big. We're not going out like chumps.
Yes,
we
sir.
will survive. Thanks for listening. The Grum is next on The Fan. Have a great day.
Maybe a delayed sweep.
Today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.